Welcome back into the Natural State of Sports show. Alex Stewart, your host, as always. The producer, Young Riley, which we have an image, an AI-generated image of Young Riley that we got to try and get on the pod here. I don't know if he even knows about that, but well, that's a deep, deep tease for a different episode. And today's rotating guest, shock to some, Will, because he used up all his podcast eligibility already, but a court ruling came through, Young Riley, and said that Will is actually granted a little bit of extra eligibility, even though he had moved on to greener pastures. He can come back and do the pod.
Yeah, I'm back for my government-mandated fifth year, podcast. Excited to be here. It's been a long week. I've been a little jealous watching everybody else do it, but let's do it.
Now look, if that sounds ridiculous, that's because it is, and we're going to get into all of that a little bit later with professional athletes coming back to college. But first, the biggest news of the week, the Arkansas quarterback situation has been resolved. KJ Jackson is the starter. He was named that on Sunday for the Razorbacks. Will hasn't been on the podcast because of that eligibility since last week. So I kind of wanted to put a bow on that and get his thoughts. And then Young Riley as well. I don't think he's been able to speak on that since he was named the starter, KJ Jackson. But, well, I just want to get your thoughts so we can wrap that up and move on to talking about other things. KJ Jackson, the starter, what do you think?
Like I said, more outside looking in. I think it was the right decision. He's been with the team. I think giving him, first dibs. Not that anyone's owed anything, especially with these situations. But it sounded like he fit what they're looking for. As we spoke on, just being mobile. They did say he had to work on the accuracy, which is a little scary. But accuracy versus decision making, those are two huge things for quarterbacks. So you're kind of, I guess, lacking in a sense there. But excited, glad they got it out the way. That we know, and we can kind of start discussing things and get more into the weeds of the offense. But I think it was the right decision, and excited to see what he does in these first couple of games.
So something I brought up yesterday with the quarterback situation with the accuracy is I would expect us to start seeing that grow exponentially because now he gets the reps with the first-team receivers, tight ends, and it's always hard when you're rotating one day with the first, one day with the second. Maybe you get some third-team reps. You're still trying to figure out how does this dude cut? How does this guy run his post?
Right.
But now that you've got your locked-in group of guys you're working with, I would expect us to see that accuracy start increasing and going up, and that might solve the issues that were being had in camp with that aspect of his game.
You can get that chemistry down, the timing down of the routes, and even another thing too is like AJ Hill's still going to be there, but it's not so much. Since he has a job, there's might be a little more confidence, a little more security. Like, I can make this mistake and it's not as detrimental like, oh, I just lost my job. He's obviously still going to have to, keep it and keep working to keep it. But, like, it's just a little less pressure in a sense where he can, focus in again on that timing, that chemistry, and getting those routes and that accuracy down.
And something else that you brought up the last time you were on the podcast when we were discussing the quarterback battle was KJ Jackson's ability to run. Tim Cramsey looking for that in the offense. Do you think we're going to see more designed quarterback runs or maybe more RPO looks with KJ as opposed to if AJ had gotten the nod?
Like I said, just going off the sound, the interviews we got, I believe so. I think it would be unwise not to utilize it. Like I said, the more ways you can attack a defense to keep them guessing, the better. It's as simple as that. And like as we mentioned before, they're going to play some tough defenses, and they're just going to have to find ways to gain yards, kind of grind out that clock, and then obviously score. But I think some of these high-powered offenses, they're going to want to keep the ball out of their hands and kind of tire out that defense.
So that's Will's thoughts. Let's pop over to the producer, Young Riley. Your thoughts, KJ Jackson being the starter?
Hit the nail on the it's Monday.
Hit the nail
for
on
me.
the head.
Yeah, there you go. It's my Monday, but no, you hit it. Decision making versus accuracy, and I think we've known for a while that KJ was the favorite. I think they talked, that he was doing things a little bit better than AJ. But what I liked from KJ on Sunday was, he still has that mentality that the whole quarterback room needs to work and everyone needs to contribute. It's not a sure thing that KJ is going to play every single game this season. We probably will see AJ at some point. Maybe we might even see 17-year-old Hank Hendricks, maybe.
The Fayetteville Bulldog product.
Yeah, he's been. We don't really talked about Hendricks and how they've said some great things about him and his youth and how well he's adjusted during spring ball and the fall camp. So that's what I really like to hear on Sunday was, Jackson's mentality that he might not play every game this season. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and especially, I said it yesterday. I think we probably see A.J. Hill in week 1 just because Arkansas should get up on North Alabama. So we can kind of see both guys in game action and be like, yep, they made the right decision in starting KJ, or, ooh, maybe that was a little closer than we thought. But KJ Jackson, the starter. I think we can move on unless you have anything else to say about that. Young Riley, are you squared up and good on this?
We're good.
Sorry, Will, you were going to say something.
Let's wrap it up just like the competition.
Okay, we are done. KJ Jackson, the starter. Arkansas Razorbacks hitting the field with them September 5th against North Alabama, and hitting the field for colleges across the country, potentially, NFL players, because, Will, we have ruled in the ongoing eligibility odyssey that players can come back to college if they have a 5th year of eligibility. If they fell in a certain time frame window, they can now get drafted, fail out of the NFL essentially, and then come back to college. We're seeing that. I think one of the most notable ones is a tight end, dae'Quanwright, who was at Ole Miss, was drafted by the Eagles, went to the Cleveland Browns, and now I don't recall if he's been cut or not, or if he's just making this decision.
I think they have to waive him.
Waived him. Now he's talking about rejoining Lane Kiffin at LSU. Will's fired up, so I'm just going to back off and let him go.
Listen, we don't have enough time to really go into it. I just think, in a sense, I won't use the word I want to use. I just think it's weird. Like, for me, if I was in those shoes, why would I go to the pros and then come back? For a year, who knows how much NIL he's going to get? I know practice squad players only make tens of thousands, but it's just that's the goal. The goal is to go to the NFL, and unless he has, again, a tight end equivalent of a Joe Burrow year, he's probably not going to get drafted. Can he even get redrafted? Those are other questions you got to ask too. Can he even get redrafted? Where does he go from there? Does he just sign on with someone after this 5th year? I think it's ridiculous because, in a sense, there was always a 5th year with the red shirt. Now, obviously, you didn't have to play, but now you can, I guess, physically play 5 years. And like I said, they're talking about grandfather rules, which is what he's getting in on. They're filing a lawsuit to get that 5th year. Again, I just think it's ridiculous. I think the optics of it is really bad for the sport. People have been complaining, basketball and football, about these eligibility rules. And again, as a player, as a person, as an athlete, as a competitor, why would you want to step down? That's like a star freshman going from starting on varsity and then going to go play freshman. Why would you do that?
NIL.
I was going to say one word, and it's bread. Yeah, money. You're taking a pay cut, essentially, you said, to go to the NFL to be a practice squad player, may not even make the team, or you can come back and be the king of the college campus, which, that a good tight end, man, is so underrated when it comes to offense. He's too fast for, not Dae'Quan specifically, but a very, very good tight end, too fast for linebackers to cover, and then too big for the secondary to deal with. A good tight end really can be a massive difference maker. But that's beside the point. I am completely on your side with this one. I think that's ridiculous. And then, as you said, as an athlete, you're always trying to prove I'm the best dude. What's the next challenge? You put this in front of me, I'm going to run through that brick wall. This doesn't feel like that mentality. I mean, I get wanting to get paid, but there's got to be a certain sense of the best athletes are the best athletes for a reason. It's because they have that ego. I don't know that I want a player that doesn't have that ego.
Right. Again, I don't know. Other tight ends in the LSU locker room, and again, are you just done? Hey, I made an extra $1 million, $2 million, whatever he gets, and then you're just going to go, retire and live off of that? Like, we got dudes who make 13, 20, 25 saying that's not enough. So it's again, I don't agree with it. It's a really weird, a really bad situation. And, hats off to him, good luck to him on this season if he does get to play. But, as an athlete, I guess as a former athlete, I don't understand it.
And again, we're not trying to harp on Dae'Quanwright. There's plenty of athletes, but he seems to be the most prominent one that he made it to the league, and now he can come back. He was the first. Young Riley, big Ohio State fan. So if you heard that Ryan Day was like, let's get some of those NFL players to come back onto my team, what are your thoughts on this whole situation?
I love what the Big Ten did yesterday, and I think his comments on Sunday really set that up. I'm sure he probably knew about what was coming down from the conference. And I think the ACC and the Big 12 followed, where they're not going to let that happen. They're not going to let their schools, their member schools, do that. Curious to see if the SEC follows. I mean, or if they are the only conference. It'd be interesting to see how that impacts, some of the other Group of 5 conferences if they keep those rules. Would more NFL guys go to Pac-12 schools, or the MACtion? That might be interesting. That also might help, level the playing field. I know we usually only get one per year in the playoffs. So it'd be interesting to see if down the line, if this continues to happen, how many of the percentage of the rosters will have NFL players if you're in the Group of 5. It'd be very interesting to see.
Boy, you want to talk about ego hits, though. Could you imagine you go to the NFL, you come back, no Power 4 school wants you, so you got to go down to the MAC or the Mountain West or something like that. That's a double ego check right there.
Yeah, no, that would be embarrassing, to say the least.
But to follow up on what young Riley was saying with the SEC, they did release a statement saying that we're still navigating these waters. And it's interesting because for as much as the SEC wants to kind of be their own entity and separate from all the other leagues, and they feel they run their conference a certain way, they did fall in line with this one, that statement saying, look, we don't like this. We're blurring the lines between pro and college, and I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. It's not fair to these college athletes that have committed to the schools, that are competing for these schools, to then possibly lose their job to somebody coming back. Right. So it sounds to me like the SEC is very much in line with how we all feel about everything.
Which is great.
But in terms of like official legislation and stuff, I think we're still waiting for somebody, because the NCAA can't govern themselves.
Let's get Nick Saban in there.
2-minute warning.
Nick Saban for president.
I think
that's what or NCAA college football president. Yeah. All right, 2 minutes left. We want to talk about something a little bit out there for our podcast. It is the natural state of sports, meaning the sports as a whole. And the NFL kicks off here in a few weeks. So we're starting to get schedule reveals. We're starting to get uniform reveals.
Yes.
Nike just released the rivalry uniforms today for 8 teams. We wanted to take a look with you guys, give our thoughts, see which one is the best. So let's start here with the Chicago Bears, kind of a classic look here. Will, your thoughts?
I like them. I'm a little biased as, a Gators and a Broncos fan. That blue and orange just always hits different. But I think these are one of the best, if not the best, of these 8 that they revealed today.
A little too Syracusey for me. All right, Lions?
Terrible. Just
you don't like the black stripe on there?
It's literally the Panthers. Okay. It's just a reskinned Panthers. Like, what are we doing? Come on now.
All right, that's fair. All right, speed run. Here we go. Green Bay. Yeah, I like the darker green. Yeah, it's a different color green. I'd put them up near the top.
But does it justify a new uniform? No.
All right, Minnesota Vikings. I actually was on these, and then I kind of saw. I do like them. I like the helmet stripe right there in between.
It's just reskinned Ravens. Like, what are we doing?
I don't know, man. I'm with the font. Yeah, okay. Vikings near the top for me.
These are clean.
That's clean.
These are
that
clean.
Might be the best.
These are clean, yeah.
Houston, I love the rebrand for Houston. All right, rapid fire. We got a couple more here before we wrap up the show. Colts, I feel like we've seen the black uniforms before. It doesn't do it for me.
And lastly, the second best.
Yeah, I think that's a miss for me, man.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling the Jacksonville Jaguars.
And Titans.
Those are, I'm 50-50 on them. They look nice sometimes, and sometimes I'm like,
That blue's pretty nice. All right, guys, we got to wrap things up here on the Natural State of Sports podcast. Alex Stewart, Will, appreciate you, man. Glad you got that eligibility. Young Riley and the producer computer. We'll talk to you guys next time.